What's going on, guys? We are back for another recap of the Sunday morning live stream, plus 10 players I'm buying and selling in fantasy football. It was a great week 3. Again, going to start with reviewing how I did on the Sunday morning lives, because I am always trying to get better so that all of you can be getting better all the time. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Let's get right into it. As a Packers fan, I feel like they should give him more touches to the hot hand and Aaron Jones, but Dillon still had more rushing attempts last week, just missed out on TDs. Yeah, this is a really good question. And I just saw an A.J. Dillon question in the chat, too. I think A.J. Dillon's really tough to trust this week. This is probably the worst possible matchup for A.J. Dillon. I was on the money here, and you know I love A.J. Dillon. We will talk about A.J. Dillon later on this show, but this is the worst possible matchup for A.J. Dillon. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, again, this season ranked number 1 in the NFL against running backs. A.J. Dillon saw the same amount of carries as Aaron Jones, but he had just 32 yards this week, no touchdowns. Hopefully you benched A.J. Dillon this week, but hold on to him. Better games are coming. Let me pull up the list again that I think you have to bench if you're watching live on YouTube. I only put players on this list that I'm saying, like, basically in all situations you should bench. And most of these have to do with injuries, yeah. Like, bench all these guys. Don't risk it with these guys. Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen's not playing, I don't think. And Justin Herbert has a little bit more of a chance to play, but I don't think he's playing either. This was really the decision point this Sunday because the Chargers game was later in the day. We didn't know if Justin Herbert was going to play. We didn't know if Keenan Allen was going to play. It sounded like by the end of the live stream, Keenan Allen was going to play. Keenan Allen did not end up playing, so that was a good do not start. Justin Herbert did end up playing, but like I was saying most of the live stream, it didn't look like he was 100%. They get blown out by the Jaguars. It seems like in retrospect, the Chargers made a bad move playing Justin Herbert in week 3. They probably should have just let him rest, but good bench situation there. Had to bench Keenan Allen, had to bench Justin Herbert. J.K. Dobbins actually looked better than I expected, but he was a good bench candidate last week as well. Same thing with Cole Beasley. I really hope you didn't play Cole Beasley. Not a single one of our do not starts was worth starting in week 3, so that's a big dub. Outside of Damien Harris, who did manage to fall into the end zone, but he clearly is touchdown dependent this season, so I'm okay with having him on this list. He was really, really close to under 10 fantasy points in week 3. Let me actually take a quick look. What did Damien Harris actually end up getting? He still might have been under 10. Let's take a quick look. He was over 10. 12.6. 41 yards, 1 touchdown. Yeah, I'm not feeling great about Keenan Allen. You can still start him in some situations. It does sound like he's going to play, but I'm not feeling so great about it. Curtis Samuel or Alvin Kamara. See, this is what I'm talking about with the Curtis Samuel stuff. This is getting out of control. It's getting absolutely out of control. You're starting Alvin Kamara 1,000%. Curtis Samuel ends up outscoring Alvin Kamara this week. I still think you pretty obviously had to start Alvin Kamara in that situation. But guys, I might be wrong about Curtis Samuel. He saw another 10 targets, 7 catches, 48 yards. Didn't score a touchdown this week. He did have, I think, 1 carry as well. He's now gone over 13 PPR fantasy points in 3 straight weeks. They clearly are scheming him touches. He is in start consideration heading into week 4. I think this is a pretty big lesson learned for me through the first 3 weeks is we got to stop sleeping on Curtis Samuel. I mean, I think this is going to be a Kyle Pitts week. I think this is the week Kyle Pitts is going to bounce back. Sorry, I just left that question. I do apologize. Kyle Pitts finally had his week this week. Obviously, you were starting Kyle Pitts if you had him, but it was good to see Kyle Pitts score more than 3 fantasy points this week. He still failed to score, though, and that's actually really concerning moving forward. He's already shown in his rookie season he didn't have an act for the end zone. He scored 1 touchdown as a rookie. He still had a 1,000-yard season. It's really rare to have a 1,000-yard season and only score 1 touchdown. On average, you score a touchdown for every about 120 receiving yards you have. So his expected touchdowns were closer to 5 or 6 as a rookie. He only had 1. This week, he leads the team in receiving, 5 catches, 87 yards. Most of that came in the first half, but still no touchdowns. He did come close to a touchdown. But guys, Kyle Pitts, I have been telling you to buy him since week 1. I'm a little bit more concerned, honestly, now, but at least his price has gone up, and we got at least 1 top 10 tight end out of Kyle Pitts. Everybody pray Kyle Pitts falls into the end zone in many weeks to come. I don't feel as good about him this week against the Eagles, and I do feel pretty good about Mariota this week. I would actually go Mariota over Wentz this week. And can you name some player props you like? Yeah, I will talk through some player props. My first and favorite player prop, though, is Dalvin Cook, over 18.5 receiving yards. This was a huge L, guys. Dalvin Cook line was good. He was running the fourth most routes in the league last year. He had 0 receiving yards, though, through the first 3 quarters, and then he hurt his shoulder, and he didn't play again. In the fourth quarter, you can maybe 25% of this L you can chalk up to the injury, but it wasn't a good sign that he had 0 receiving yards. Though I did say also in this live, I loved all the Dalvin props on Sunday, and he did smash his rushing prop, had over 90 rushing yards. He did score a rushing touchdown, so he beat that prop as well. Dalvin Cook did smash in week 3. It just wasn't through the receiving game. So taking the L on this prop, we now fall to 2-3 on the prop. So we are below 50% on the live stream props. We're still above 50% though in the WalterPicks app props. Got to bounce back though, moving forward on these props on the lives. Christian, what does the lock mean next to the picks? That means these are the picks I'm most confident in. And I'll track these accuracy separately. This season, I have worse accuracy on the locks this season than just overall. I'm 50% overall against the spread. I think I'm 1 for 1 with the locks, I believe. I got to look back at the exact lock percentage. I think I took 2 locks so far this season. By the way, one of the locks was week 1, the Broncos over the Seahawks. That one obviously missed, and I'm taking another lock against the Seahawks today. We'll see if they can keep ruining my lock streak. But yeah, I take the Falcons +1 against the Seahawks. These are the spreads I feel best about. The Falcons against the Seahawks. I almost put the Ravens as a lock. I was pretty confident about them beating the Pats too, but the Pats fan in me at first game at home, I wasn't able to do it. But I won't be shocked if the Ravens completely blow out the Pats. I was actually pretty shocked that the spread was only 2.5, and I'm definitely taking the Ravens against the spread. So I end up going 3-0 on my lock picks against the spread. Packers crushed the Commanders. The Falcons beat the Seahawks. This week, I'm not starting. We did end up going 3-0 on the locks this week. The Falcons came through against the Seahawks. The Packers ended up beating the Bucs, and the Eagles absolutely steamrolled the Commanders. That brings us to 4-1 on the lock picks against the spread this season. Can't promise we'll be that accurate throughout the entire season, but it's still great to go over 60% with the locks. And we actually moved to 55% against the spread overall. So big dub there with the week 3 live stream. I've definitely gotten this question each of the last 2 weeks from someone, and I've said Mooney both times, and I'm compelled to say Darnell Mooney again this week over Greg Dortch. And like Greg Dortch has definitely a better floor than Mooney at this point, but I still think Mooney's ceiling is so much higher than Greg Dortch's. And the thing you got to understand about Mooney, as bad as he's been in fantasy, he's still the clear wide receiver 1 for the Bears. They just haven't thrown the ball at all. They've thrown the ball 26 times. That is an absolute joke. Through 2 weeks. Most quarterbacks have single weeks, where they throw the ball 26 times. Joe Flacco's thrown the ball over 100 times in the first 2 weeks. Justin Fields thrown the ball 26 times. Like, have they even been playing? Like, going back and watching these games, and I go back, I do rewatch every single game at least once. And these Bears games are so tough to rewatch. I mean, just so brutal again for Darnell Mooney. Guys, we got to start benching Darnell Mooney. We have to bench Darnell Mooney. He's got to be in the Cole Kmet area where like he just needs to be benched. Justin Fields threw the ball 17 times. I guess not terrible for Justin Fields. Still not great. He just isn't going to be able to sustain fantasy wide receivers when he throws the ball under 20 times every week. Darnell Mooney had 2 catches this week. Greg Dortch had 8 catches, 90 yards. So big L on this one. Sorry about that, Alex. But yeah, moving forward, I think we have to play Greg Dortch over Darnell Mooney. We're really down bad. Darnell Mooney's really down bad. If you have him, he needs to be on the bench. Don't drop him, but he's got to be on the bench moving forward. That does it for a recap of the Sunday morning live. Lots of dubs, definitely a lot of L's though. Most importantly though, we are learning from our L's heading into week 4. We're not starting Darnell Mooney, and we are not going to make the same mistakes twice. All right, let's get into 10 players I'm buying or selling in fantasy football heading into week 4. Number 1 is buy George Kittle. George Kittle was on the list last week, and he looked fully healthy this week, but he did not have a great fantasy day. If you don't have Mark Andrews, if you don't have Travis Kelce, if you don't have Kyle Pitts, if you don't have Darren Waller, I'd be looking to go get George Kittle. Number 2 is buy Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks played the most he's played in week 3. He led the team in routes run, but he had just 1 catch for 13 yards. It's only a matter of time until the usage and the efficiency happen on the same day for Treylon Burks. I bet it's going to happen as soon as this week. So buy Treylon Burks while he still can. Number 3 is sell Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If you can sell Clyde for anything close to a running back 1 or a wide receiver 1, or really even a running back 2 or wide receiver 2, I would do that. He hasn't seen more than 12 touches in a game this season. His floor is under 5 fantasy points. He scored a lot of touchdowns this season. I'm selling Clyde Edwards-Helaire while I still can. Number 4, again making the list, is selling Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson right now is the number 12 running back in PPR fantasy leagues. Sell him while you still can. Number 5 is buy Alvin Kamara. If you're 3-0 or 2-1 in your fantasy league, I'm talking specifically to you. Alvin Kamara has under 15 fantasy points through the first 3 weeks of the season. He didn't play in week 2, but for context of how bad that is for Alvin Kamara, he has averaged more fantasy points per game than the total amount of points he has this season. In every year of his career, all 5 years of his career, he has averaged over 17.5. If you are in the playoff run right now in your fantasy football league, you have to be sending a trade for Alvin Kamara, who absolutely still has league-winning upside. His usage and his snap rate have still been really strong. The targets are down a little bit, but Kamara has some huge fantasy days ahead. Number 6 is buy Ramandre Stevenson. Ramandre Stevenson played about 62% of the snaps for the Patriots in week 3, and he ran a route on 64% of Mac Jones's dropbacks. That is really good usage. He is the Patriots running back that you want in fantasy football leagues, especially in PPR leagues. Damien Harris, on the other hand, I would be selling him. He played just about a third of the snaps in week 3. He's going to be touchdown dependent each week in fantasy. Is sell Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is a guy I really liked going into the season because he's been efficient every year in the league, and he's a good pass catcher as well. I still think he has some weekly upside in PPR leagues, but Raheem Mostert looks like the guy that's going to lead the team in carries this season. I think Edmonds' floor is much lower than people realize right now. I would be selling Chase Edmonds if you can. Number 8 is buy Damien Pierce. I was very low on Damien Pierce going into the season. I thought his price was getting out of control before the season. He was going in like the 4th or 5th round in some fantasy drafts. He's an 6th round rookie draft pick, and he's on the Texans. But it's pretty clear he's going to be the workhorse back for the Texans after the last couple of weeks. He still doesn't have that much pass catching upside. He's not going to be too involved in the pass game. It seems like Rex Burkhead does have that role. But if he continues to have 20-plus carry weeks, there's big games ahead for Damien Pierce. I'm buying him where I can. Number 9 is sell Allen Robinson. The playing with the best quarterback of his career narrative is looking like it's going to fall flat on its face for Allen Robinson this season. I'm fully panicked about Allen Robinson. I'd sell him for basically anything you can get. And I bet in some leagues, just his name still has value. So I'd be trading him basically for anything. Number 10, I am once again telling you to buy A.J. Dillon. And guys, I think this could be the last week where you could buy A.J. Dillon for a reasonable price. This might be actually the lowest you could buy A.J. Dillon for the entire season. I talked a little bit about it in the live stream recap. And this week, guys, he's a 10.5 point favorite at home against the Patriots. This is likely going to be the lowest you can buy A.J. Dillon for the rest of the season. So buy him while you still can. Those are the 10 players I'm buying and selling heading into week 4 of the NFL season. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And time is the most valuable thing we have. So thank you for spending some time with me today. I'll be back next week.